With Aisha over at the First Alert Safety Desk. What are we talking about today?
This is a very important step forward in looking at the research of nutrition and vitamin supplementation in an aging population when we're talking about cognitive decline, dementia, and Alzheimer's. And this set of disorders affects 50 million Americans.
A new study showing that a multivitamin a day could keep dementia away or at least slow it down. Aisha, you're over at the First Alert Safety Desk.
Yeah, good morning, Emerson. So you just heard how much of an impact this could have. So this is a new study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition showing taking a multivitamin every day could help improve memory for everyday events and prevent cognitive decline in older adults. The study, it's actually 1 in 3 in a series. Researchers followed more than 500 adults ages 60 and older who took a daily multivitamin over a 2-year period. Researchers say those who took the vitamins versus a placebo had memory equivalent to someone nearly 5 years younger and had cognition equivalent to someone 2 years younger. Still, what I'm learning this morning is the results are raising some skepticism because previous studies were inconclusive about the benefits of multivitamins. Doctors say there are a lot of studies out there that do show the claims made by the vitamin industry, supplement industry, are not evidence-based. So if you have a deficiency, it's still a good idea, doctors say, to take a multivitamin, but it's something you want to talk to your doctor about one-on-one. It's important for you to know this morning. Also, doctors say not every multivitamin may have the same results, and multivitamins should not be viewed as a replacement for both a healthy diet and exercise. Coming up in the next half hour, if you use snack meat to serve your family or friends, you should know about the warning this morning. The risk of salmonella in some charcuterie meat that is expanding now per the CDC. I'll tell you what to check your fridge for.